On this episode, being the best version of you, breakup therapy, and fashion passion.
Let's talk about it.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome to What You Talking About Willis. I'm your host, Vi. You can call me V. And welcome to The Situation. Let's talk about it. So, I did promise on being the best version of yourself, I was going to do a segment on neurodiversity versus neurotypical. I will link the previous videos. This is Being the Best Version of Yourself Part 3. I will link 1 and 2 in the description box. And I am going to just, put up a chart really quick. And this kind of introduces neurodiversity. Neurodiversity has been around for a while, but the reality is we are becoming more informed as to what neurodiversity encompasses. And, it is encompassing of ASD, which is autism, learning disabilities, things like ADHD, dyslexia. It is also inclusive of mental health. And this is where neurodiversity is an umbrella term, and I will put up another visual because this term is actually used to describe a multitude of neurological differences. And to add to that, let's go ahead and actually go with a textbook definition. I do want to go in through, Harvard Health has defined neurodiversity as the word neurodiversity refers to the diversity of all people, but it is often used in the context of autism spectrum disorder, ASD, as well as other neurological or developmental conditions such as ADHD or learning disabilities. The neurodiversity movement emerged during the 1990s, aiming to increase acceptance and inclusion of all people while embracing neurological differences. Through online platforms, more and more autistic people were able to connect and form self-advocacy movement. At the same time, Judy Singer, an Australian sociologist, coined the term neurodiversity to promote equality and inclusion between neurological minorities. While it is primarily a social justice movement, neurodiversity research and education is increasingly important in how clinicians view and address certain disabilities and neurological conditions. So going into that, let's go ahead and first let me define neurodivergent versus neurotypical. Neurotypical is defined as people who process information in a way that is considered standard or typical. Someone who is neurotypical develops brain functions like social and organizational skills at similar rates as others their age. Okay? Neurodivergent is defined as people who process information in a way that is not typical for their age. This variation could include a diagnosed condition like autism or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but neurodivergence itself is not a diagnosis. It just means the brain works differently than what it's considered typical. It's neither right nor wrong, just different. So now that we have understood a little more about neurodiversity, I want to kind of jump in briefly as to why understanding neurodiversity and neurodivergence is so important when you're being the best version of yourself. I am one who falls under this umbrella. I actually wrote a piece on anxiety in my last performance, and I will drop my Instagram in the description box as well so that you can go check it out. Anxiety, it's not my anxiety, it is anxiety. I have to manage it. And this falls under the mental health component of this neurodiversity umbrella. I do have to manage anxiety, and it's bad, to be fair. We all know anxiety is oftentimes accompanied by depression. It doesn't have to be. In 2025, it feels like we all know someone, or we are that someone who has struggled with depression. Either it's seasonal, meaning it wasn't for a time period in your life, or it is something chronic that you have to deal with frequently. I also want to, while I'm talking in the background, let's look at some people who have actually died from depression, because this is real. These are the faces of depression. And what typically happens is either an overdose or suicide. And so I think we need to really start to talk a little more. We are having the conversations. The medical community is having these conversations on the importance of neurodiversity, because what we're seeing is the links. Learning disabilities like ADHD, if not managed correctly, will cause very severe and very serious depression. It is important for us as a society, as a community, to understand not only our neurology, but what other people potentially might be dealing with. Why? Because in interacting on a personal level, being the best version of you is maintaining mindfulness, understanding that you operate and think in a certain way. Therefore, if person B is treating you in a way that is not in alignment with who you are, how you process information, we either A, compromise on a solution, or B, remove ourselves, right? Being the best version of you is respecting yourself at all times. You do not disrespect yourself and then therefore allow others to disrespect you. Why do I say it like this? Because when we don't understand our neurology, we typically let other people tell us that we are being crazy, we are aggressive, we just don't understand, maybe we're stupid, maybe we're this. There are a number of different things that people can say that will actually attack you. These are verbal assaults. No, you're not angry. No, you're not combative. No, you're not mean. No, you're not stupid. These are things that people tell you because they don't understand your neurology. And if you don't understand your neurology, you run the risk of actually believing that. So when we start talking about neurodiversity and this umbrella, understanding that mental health is inclusive, ADHD, dyslexia, Tourette's, ASD, autism, this umbrella is wide. And as we continue to learn more and more, it is really important for us to keep an open mind and make space. Why do I say this? Because what we're starting to see is also the need to incorporate the understanding of neurodiversity into the workplace. Why is this? Because it's not going away. People think differently. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with Betty or Tom or Sarah. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with them. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or me. We are different. Every human is different. We have similarities, but we're different, and that's okay. So I will read again, Harvard Health. Fostering neurodiversity in the workplace, stigma, a lack of awareness, and a lack of appropriate infrastructure, such as office setup or staffing structures, can cause exclusion of people with neurodevelopment differences. Understanding and embracing neurodiversity in communities, schools, healthcare settings, and workplace can improve inclusivity for all people. It is important for us all to foster an environment that is conducive to neurodiversity and recognize and emphasize each person's individual strengths and talents while also providing support for their different needs. With that, I want to go into, I'm going to also read how employers can make their workplace more neurodiversity friendly, offer small adjustments to an employee workplace to accommodate any sensory needs such as sound sensitivity. Oftentimes we see people with neurodiversities are sensitive to sound. Some are sensitive to light, tone, volume, tactile, allow modifications to usual work uniforms. Some people dress a little differently, some people act differently. Movements, allow the use of fidget toys, allow extra movement breaks. Offer flexible seating. I'm one of those. I move. I was in meetings constantly. I would get up, go outside, go to the bathroom, I'm gonna go. I need to go do something because I need to move around. I advise employers to start creating the infrastructure. A lot of companies are not ready because what we're seeing is a younger demographic of people understanding their neurology earlier. How many children do you know have been diagnosed with ASD? How many teenagers are depressed and anxious? We have to really start to think about what the next 10, 15 years in the workplace looks like and develop this infrastructure because these conditions are real. They do, depending on the condition, fall under ADA, and you could get yourself into some very serious liabilities if not careful. So with that, because it sounds so doom and gloom, I know, right? I understand that neurodiversity now sounds like, well, I just have to make all these concessions and I have to be so aware and I have to understand. It's really for you. I will say this, when you begin to understand neurodiversity and neurology for yourself, you become more aware of others. Why? Because you are understanding what you are, how you are. Are you neurotypical? Are you neurodivergent? Have you had any kind of mental health issues? Have you been depressed ever? Have you been anxious ever? And then also understanding a person with autism, a person with ADHD, a person with dyslexia. It gives you space to understand others. I will also add, when you begin to understand neurodiversity, you begin to understand strengths, because neurodivergent people have very specific strengths. A couple of them are creativity. You oftentimes see people with neurodiversities as incredibly creative. I mean, really, really creative individuals. They have a high percentage of accuracy or quality, right? So depending on the neurodiversity, depending on if it's a learning disability, but they are typically, they're pretty accurate. It is, you know, it is what it is. They have unique problem solving skills. These are the people who think outside the box. Why? Because they don't think like most neurotypical people. They come up with creative solutions. Why? Because they're not neurotypical. They do deviate from the norm. So their process and their methodology is going to be a little different. High levels of concentration. These are the people that they're going to sit down and they're going to knock it out. They're going to be, you know, like a one-track, you know, bullet train to their destination. And they are reliable. These are just a couple of strengths that accompany a person with neurodiversity. I'm saying it like this because, again, I don't want this to be doom and gloom. Neurodiversity is not a problem. It is not, you know, something that we need to fix. It is that we need to understand that we are neurologically different, not just male, female, but also individual. And when we begin to really grasp and grapple what that means, we are able to embrace our differences in a way that is healthy and peaceful. Next, new series alert. This is Breakup Therapy. Drop it in the comments if you have a better name for it. I'm still playing with the name. As we know, as I've discussed, I was board certified as a counselor in 2017, and this is just going to be a space for us to talk about relationships and, you know, kind of the struggle, really. If I could be completely candid, this is a place for me to tell you to run. I'm just going to put it out there, because your mental health is worth a lot more than any dusty woman or man, okay? So, just how I feel. Putting up something I found on Instagram, Poetic SOS, it just ties into what I'm saying so well. I'm sorry, but someone who destroys your mental health cannot be the love of your life. Facts. If you are with someone and you go through each day feeling inadequate, feeling like you have to walk on eggshells, feeling as if you have to do all the work, or you are depressed and anxious, or dealing with any number of, you know, ailments that are neurological, you know, I would advise that you talk to a professional. My information is in the description box. I do offer a free consultation. I do professional advising. I, like I said, was board certified as a counselor in 2017. I do advise you talk to a professional, because it is one thing to have rough patches in relationships. It's a completely different thing to be with someone who does not respect your boundaries and does impact your mental health. Toxicity is not welcome in 2025. One of my favorite phrases, it doesn't matter the year, but every year it changes. We drink water and ascend over here. It is 2025. It is 2026. It's 2020. You know, we're drinking water and ascending. We're not on this low vibrational playing field. We don't care why you think you can be toxic and try to destroy my mental health. It's not going to work. I'm going to go. And so with that being said, if you are around people who are refusing to respect your boundaries, who are refusing to acknowledge your sheer humanity, this is civility. This is respect. We're not even asking for kindness. We're just asking for civility and respect. Just walk away. If possible, leave. If not, then a very serious conversation needs to happen about what actually needs to happen to minimize interaction and cut as much of the communication out, because you deserve so much better than that. You are worth it. You don't have to be around someone who doesn't respect you. You don't have to be around someone who doesn't treat you right. You don't have to be around someone who talks about you badly, who makes up lies about you, who does all kinds of weird, strange things to keep your attention, get your attention, take your attention, whatever. Nobody has time for the manipulation and deceit. Nobody has time for this. Again, it's what? 2025, and we're doing what? Drinking water and ascending. I hope y'all get my drift. Let me know if you like the new series. We'll see where it goes, right? Next. Saw a video, Slim Thug, you know, Thugga, air quotes, whatever. On Instagram, I'm gonna play it. Let's watch.
Man, a lot of y'all sounding like y'all ain't getting no Valentine's Day gift. Now my second question is this. Are you standing on business too much? Let's try to figure out what it is. Are you standing on business too much? Is any of y'all women who said no celibate? Is anybody who said no celibate? I love me. Yep. Always. Yes. Yes. Yep. Yep. Hell no. Yep. 555 weeks. Very much so. That shit ain't working. You have to give it up. If you want a Valentine's Day gift, you need to give it up. Y'all putting too much on it. It's too much on it. Let's do the numbers. See now, we don't want y'all to do nothing. We don't want y'all to be crazy. I'm big brother. I'm your friend, right? I'm glad you in here. I just showed you the numbers of how many rich niggas it is out here, right? It ain't that many. If you want a black man, now let me tell you, on the flip side of the money, a black man in Black History Month, black men, we are the #1 wanted man on earth. You are the #1 wanted man. Whoa, that almost been a wreck. Doing too much, calm down. Anxiety heads, calm down. Black men are the #1 wanted man on earth. Right? Black men at the same time, we probably marry more in our race than anybody, right? Now I ain't gonna say that, I don't know, it's a lot of, but y'all wanna understand the snow bunny thing. Now the snow bunnies, the whoever races outside of black women are gonna give it up to us. We don't have to play no games. Like we go somewhere tonight, hey, we talk, hey, because they look at us like, ooh.
Okay, so off the top, WTF. I am only doing this because I think it's imperative that we speak to young men and young women, particularly young black men and young black women. This is so dangerous. This ideology that you have to be a Hoisha, a Thotiana, to have a man, to have a black man, and that creating an air quotes obstacle course to date this man and be with this man, it is damning at best. It is damning to black women. It is damning to black men. To be fair, I don't understand why whole culture is what it is, but it is what it is. When you look at actual science, data, like facts, okay? The CDC data, women between the age of 25 and 44 had a median of 4.2 sexual partners. That's the science, okay? So to say that black women are doing something wrong because they are a little more reserved, they like to take their time, they're not going to go sleep with you on the first night. As someone who's never had a one-night stand, right? I've never been intimate with someone that I didn't know, that I didn't have a relationship with, that I didn't care about. Again, last 10 years or more, probably slept with like 3 people. Okay? So what are we saying? That black men want to date women who will suck and on the first night or give it up easily? Because let's go into it. When you have most desired men per race, because getting on my last nerve, black men are not the most desired race. Nobody wants you, Slimmer. You ain't even slim. Like, you ain't even a thug. You a bum, okay? Bum. Nobody wants you. Latinos are actually 54%. They are apparently the most desired. After that, guess what? White. Not you. Okay? Moving on. In the book American Hookup, Lisa Wade did a lot of research in trying to understand hookup culture. You should try to read it. Percent less interested in people who hook up. by percentage, one a whole, women in general across the board are less interested in hookups. On average, between 70 and 75% across the board. Again, like I said, it's not race related. It's an American thing. It is what it is. Percent who believe sex requires love by race. 50% of Caucasian women, while 50% of Black women feel the same way. Who would have thought? About 60% of Latin women feel the same, and when it comes to Asian, it's a little over 60, between 60 and 70%. So what we're seeing is a trend, right? Median number of hookups since the start of college. Hookups meaning casual sexual flings and encounters. White women have double that of Black and Asian, which is about 2 or more. Blacks have 1, and Asians are 1. Latinos between 1 and 2. Okay, this ideology that it's okay to have sex without love. Now, I will say that there is a disparity in sexual connections based on socioeconomic status. Those who grow up in poverty or impoverished environments tend to be introduced to sex at a younger age, and unfortunately, that is disproportionately Blacks. With that being said, Black women in general tend to have lower partners as a whole. That's science. That is per the National Institute of Medicine Library. That's according to the CDC. However, they also disproportionately have higher STD rates. And so, based on information from Natasha Crooks, she did a study, I'll put it up, addressing sexual transmitted infections in the sociocultural context of Black heterosexual relationships in the United States. The question then became, if Black women are disproportionately less likely to engage in sexual activity due to not only social constructs, social stereotypes, and or upbringing, why then are we disproportionately seeing the rate of STDs amongst Black women? And unfortunately, what she found was so distressing. It's disturbing. What she says is, despite the fact that Black women have fewer sex partners and less likely to engage in unprotected sex, their chlamydia rates were 5 times those of white women, and gonorrhea rates were 8.8 times higher, according to the CDC data for 2018. Among women diagnosed with HIV in 2016, 61% were Black, compared with 19% who were white, according to the CDC. Crooks interviewed 20 Black women between the ages of 19 and 62 years old about their experiences with sexuality and sexual health. She and her co-authors found that Black women were socialized to protect Black men, but often did this at the expense of their own sexual health. She goes on to talk about it. It is quite interesting. I would recommend looking it up. I will say, as a person who was raped as a child by a Black person, a Black man, a predator, a pedophile, by a person who has been at the hands of assailants who have abused me, I don't appreciate this jab at Black women who choose celibacy, who choose to understand their partner, actually incorporate love into a relationship before engaging in something as personal, as private, as beautiful as intimacy, lovemaking, intercourse. It is so dangerous for a man, a supposed Black man, that is what Slim Thug calls himself, a king, you're no king, to sit here and tell Black women to open up when we're the ones who get screwed. Next. And it's the Met Gala. Yes. Okay, so one of the best days of the year is quickly approaching here in May. And what we're going to do is have a brief, what is the Met Gala? For those who don't know, it is the Museum of Arts and announced its Costume Institute's Spring 2025 exhibition, Super Fine. So this is Met Gala does it every year. We see the celebrities get completely decked out in these amazing outfits that do at times resemble costumes and or art. Both. You can do both. Who would have thought? And so drawing for inspiration from Monica L. Miller's 2009 book, Slaves to Fashion, Black Dandyism and Styling of the Black Diasporic Identity. The exhibition is organized into 12 sections, each representing a characteristic that defines dandy style. Ownership, presence, distinction, disguise, freedom, champion, respectability, juk, which is defined in Zora Neale Hurston's Characteristics of a Negro, expression. An important reference for the exhibition as a space for dancing, drinking, and other leisure activities. We also have heritage, beauty, cool, and cosmopolitan. So we're talking top hats, fedoras, right, lapels. We're talking vests. We're talking 1940s, 50s Chicago city. We're talking, beautiful handcrafted suits and amazing gowns. We're talking, it'll be amazing. It's going to be great. I can't wait. So, and as most know, the hosts this year are Coleman Domingo, Lewis Hamilton, A$AP Rocky, who is taking Bad Girl Riri. Can't wait. We can't wait to see her. She always stuns. She always looks amazing. Pharrell Williams and Anna Wintour will co-host the Met Gala with LeBron James. So Vogue will be there. Vogue is always there. And we can't wait to see how and what people come up with. And so the thing about Met is that some of the biggest names in fashion have been preparing for May, since last May. So, or I guess I should say since the fall when they announced the theme. I am incredibly excited. I can't wait to see it. And it's still 3 months away. Why? Anyway, okay. So next, Kanye is outside Kanyeing again. But this time, Bianca's the one Kanyeing. So 2025 Grammys, Bianca Censori. I will put up a picture of her Grammy look. We are going to address the fact that she's actually been on a 2-year, mission to embrace her femininity, embrace her self-expression. For those who don't know, Bianca Censori used to be one of the head designers at Yeezy for Kanye. So she does have, notoriety in this space. More power to her. If that's how you feel you want to, get your name out there and show people who you are, I'm not here to judge. I wouldn't do it, but whatever. I will also say that apparently there is a need to be trending or something. I don't know. She was more Googled than the Grammys itself. And apparently Kanye was incredibly proud of that, which sure, okay. And she's filming a movie right now. So one could say timing is coincidental at best, but I whatever. I'm going to drop a video of Kanye talking to Kim Kardashian. Let's watch that, and then we can come back to this, because
transition where from being a rapper, looking at all these girls and looking at my wife, oh, my girl needs to be just like the other girls, showing her body off, showing this, showing that. And I didn't realize that was affecting my soul and my spirit as someone that's married and loved and the father of now with about to be 4 kids. Of course, it's a formal underwear. It's hot. It's hot for who though?
So the night before the Met, you're gonna come in here and say that you're not into a corset bag. Give me really bad anxiety. What are you talking about?
Why is that giving you anxiety to say that?
Because you knew last night I was having really bad anxiety, and I don't need any more negative energy for you to now say that you're not into me wearing a tight dress.
You are my wife, and it affects me when pictures are too sexy.
okay, so I'm actually not surprised. I'm not surprised that Kanye, as a protective masculine, preferred to see Kim in different attire, preferred to see her not being so expressive. This was also some years back. People do change, they evolve, they grow into who they want to be. I have to add that it does appear that this is a mission that Bianca's on, right? It does appear that this is part of her self-expression, her journey, her vision, and he is doing his best to be incredibly supportive. And he does the best to lift her up and put her on a pedestal and put her in front of everybody every chance he gets. And I think that's amazing. I think it's really great that he is so supportive if this is what she wants to do. I did at one point read an interview with her dad that led me to believe that it wasn't her, more so his influence. But I feel like now, based on what was recently said about, because he did, I put up the post I saw in the Shade Room where he's kind of saying, this is her, self-expression, this is her fashion forward, this is her feminism, this is her. And, because somebody apparently made the comment, what would your mama say? And, he was like, F you, don't talk about my mama. And fair, right? Rest in peace, Kanye's mama. So I don't think anybody should be talking about his mom. I don't think anybody should be bringing her into the equation because, she's unfortunately not here. And I do wonder, though, if he does prefer to have a partner who is more conservative with their attire. Is this going to be detrimental to their relationship? The counselor in me says that this is going to have lingering effects. there is a need to be accountable with one's inner desires. The only way I don't see this becoming problematic is if he has in fact just embraced nudity. But it is in the context of marriage and relationships and, you know, protection, that it becomes a gray area, because some, you know, men, some masculines, not just men, masculine energies do not appreciate feeling like they are constantly having to go to war because the person they're with, you know, stepped outside in see-through with no underwear on and no pasties. So I do think that it's heavy, right? It feels very, very contradictory, but human nature is contradictory. What did you think of her outfit? Right, yeah. It was an outfit, and it was altered. Apparently it was customized and altered. I went through alterations 6 times. Another little tidbit. Yeah, 6 times. As someone who sews, I was surprised. But I'll leave it there. We'll see where it goes, right? Till next time. And like always, love you.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.